Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes, just giving everybody the opportunity to jump on. We'll get started here around 5:32. Give it just about another minute, just so that the rest of our friends can join us tonight. All right, everybody, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you to Mindful Money, Mastering Your Spending Habits. My name is Casey Cruz. I am a certified credit union facilitator and training specialist here at Clark County Credit Union. My partner in crime tonight, her name is Karen. She is a marketing coordinator. She's going to be handling our chat box. In case any questions or concerns come through, feel free to put your questions or concerns in the chat box, or you're welcome to raise your hand so we can then unmute your microphone and we can talk about, some experiences and hopefully answer any questions that you have. So again, welcome to our workshop. Again, my name is Casey Cruz. I've been with the credit union now for about 7 years. We're going to talk about mastering your spending habits and what goes into purchasing. A lot more than just cold, rational calculation goes into spending. Our emotions can have a huge impact on the bottom line. So by examining the feelings behind the decisions that we make, we can make the best productive choices possible. Along with this webinar that you are attending, as soon as we're finished tomorrow, within 24 to 48 hours, each of you will be receiving a toolkit packet from the credit union. And within this toolkit, there's going to be a spending self-evaluation, a budget tracker, and a spending habit quiz, just for you to get an idea and track your spending so you can kind of learn how to curb it in the future. Is everybody ready to get started? Do we have any questions or comments so far, Karen?
We don't have any questions at this time.
Perfect. Once again, please feel free to put questions, comments in our chat box or raise your hand so we can unmute your microphone. So let's talk about spending choices. When you make a purchase, do you ever wonder why you're buying what you are buying? Psychologists have found that there are several forces that govern our consumer behavior and cause us to make decisions that are not necessarily rational or in our best interest. Many people spend to the point that they get into debt or are unable to save. Understanding why we buy what we buy can help us make smart decisions in the future. This workshop is focused on helping us do just that. Self-evaluation. What types of products and services do you enjoy spending money on? Why do you think you enjoy spending money on them? In what ways do you think you are a good spender? What spending habits would you like to change? And how do you think you can change them? So let's think about this for a minute. all of us, we know our own spending habits. We know how we shop. Is there anybody that's willing to share maybe an example or something, that they do that would categorize them as a good spender? Or even some of the spending habits that you would like to change and maybe how you think you can change them? I like to consider myself a good spender because I budget. And when I do my weekly grocery shopping, I grocery shop the sales. So sometimes that includes me driving even to multiple stores to try to find the best deals.
Okay, we have one raised hand. I'm gonna unmute you, Hayes. Okay, you may speak now, Hayes.
Hi, Hayes, are you able to hear us? We're unable to hear you. If you like, you can also comment in the chat box. Karen, is he unmuted, or excuse me, is Hayes unmuted?
Yes,
Okay,
she should be able to use
she
her
should.
mic now.
Perfect. I'm still not able to hear.
Can you try one more time, please? If you're unable to use your mic, Hayes, you can always use the chat box if that will help you. Okay, we have one more raised hand. Let me get back to, we will get back to you, Hayes. I will unmute Sarah. Sarah, you may go ahead and speak now.
Hi, Sarah.
Thank you. Hi, thank you. So I heard what you said as far as like how you're a good um spender. I, on the other hand, don't think I am. And I do try to have been times where there's been times where I'm like, okay, this is my budget, I'm gonna spend this, but then I go past that limit, whether it's by $20 or $50, and then I'm very
Mhm.
nonchalant about it. I'm like, and then I just try to justify why that's like not a big deal. But yeah, so I guess I'm not that good of a saver.
Thank you, Sarah. I think we kind of all experienced something pretty similar. And hopefully that's one of the things that we're going to talk about sooner, or excuse me, shortly in our slides here, is we do have some tips and tricks that can kind of help you stay within that budget for sure. So thank you so much for sharing that. We will certainly circle back to that.
Hayes,
Thank
are
you.
you able to speak now? Okay, she lowered her hand. I
Okay.
think we can proceed. Casey,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hayes, if you're able to put your questions, comments in the chat box, I assure you we will get back to them. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the issue is with the microphone, but I would love to hear what you have to say. So thank you. So let's talk about the role of advertising. The purpose of advertising is to get us to buy something. A common tactic that advertisers use is to appeal to a certain fear or desire and claim that their product can provide the image or the lifestyle that you want. For example, commercials for baking products frequently show happy, loving families. We like to think that we are immune to ads, but they can sway us towards certain products, often unconsciously. So, what can you do? It's hard to avoid advertisements, and they can provide useful information about the products that you are already interested in buying. The challenge is to recognize the emotional appeals being made in most ads and minimize them so you can rationally judge the true value of what is being sold. As you encounter advertising in your daily life, think about the validity of the images being presented and what it is that you will actually get from the product or service. How many times have you been maybe scrolling on social media or you're watching a TV program and you see an advertisement for something that you truly think is going to make such a big difference in your life? I think this happens to a lot of us, especially if you are on social media. There's all types of health products that we see, or if you're not getting enough greens, you're not eating enough vegetables. There is those green powders that you can add to your drink to help you get your fruit and vegetable contents for the day. And sometimes they're pricey. You buy them, and upon further research, you find that maybe they're not giving you the nutritional value that you really need. Is anybody willing or want to share a time that you purchased something just because it had been advertised so much that it became part of maybe a desire that you didn't realize you had in the first place? And really, advertising doesn't necessarily have to be through a major marketing company, right? It can just be something that you see somebody else have.
We have one in the chat. They shared that when influencers show off their items.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot of those influencers are sponsored by some of these companies. And so, of course, to keep their sponsorships, they have to present these items to us, and we see how maybe beautiful their hair turned out or their lips look with that new lip gloss. And so it's just so appealing that we think it's going to make us feel better as well. Any other stories or questions, or just experiences of how you've purchased something just from advertising? All right. Thank you for sharing. This is a big one. This kind of goes a little bit, you know, in tandem with our previous slide, keeping up with the Joneses, right? Going back to social media influencers, they're testing out, trying out these products, or we're seeing them with these products, and we want to be part of it. So society, in part, defines success by what we look like and own. It's not surprising that people are tempted to buy things that will make them appear well off, especially when others around them seem to have more. This type of spending is commonly called keeping up with the Joneses. While it used to be the Joneses were neighbors, now it seems they've become people we see on television and in movies with great houses, clothes, cars, and other product placements. Have any of you ever felt the pressure of keeping up with the Joneses? And if so, what is it that you wanted or ended up buying? So, just as an example, while I'm waiting for anybody to share their experiences, let's talk about Stanleys, those Stanley cups. Those are everywhere right now. I feel like you can't go somewhere without seeing somebody with their Stanley. And they're pricey. Those Stanleys range anywhere between $35 and up, depending on the size of the Stanley. People have multiple Stanleys. And so we look at them and we want Stanleys because our friends have Stanleys. Does anybody have a story or an example of something that they purchased because they saw somebody else that had it? Maybe whether it's a social media influencer, a friend, a coworker, and they wanted to make it seem that they had the same amenities that their peers had.
We have one that shared their experience. This is not related to the question, but they shared that I'm retired and sometimes I just want to get out of the house for a while, so I go shopping.
Yes. Yes, I think we all are guilty of that, right? Boredom sometimes leads to shopping. We want to sometimes be around other people, and we convince ourselves that we're just going to window shop, and then sometimes we end up spending money that we didn't necessarily intend. That's actually one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm excited that you shared that with us. Thank you. Anybody else willing to share?
We have another one that says Amazon suggesting items.
Oh, that's a really good one. That gets me every time, that Amazon. There's just the convenience of it, right? It knows what I'm thinking. That's a really good one. And the thing with Amazon is it kind of ties into a lot of the influencers have their link trees or the products that they are promoting. And so I think sometimes with algorithms, it catches some of those things for us. That's a good one. Cars, right? Cars would be another. Maybe your neighbor has a nice brand new electric vehicle, and maybe it's not within your means, but you buy an electric vehicle as well. Or even, for us gals, we like our luxury handbags. Sometimes that we measure success by, again, the way that we perceive others and how their appearance is. So, um, unfortunately, though, you can't win. You can't always try to keep up with the Joneses. There's always going to be peers and friends and family who have more. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea to buy luxuries, but we want to be conscious of what we can afford. If you don't have the cash to buy something right away, start saving instead of putting it on your credit card.
And then we have another one.
Oh,
They said that the news feed on my computer seems to show everything that I've been shopping for.
yeah, that's good. That's a good one. Like I said, it's kind of like monitoring the algorithms, right? So it keeps track. Our smartphones are smart, and our smart devices are smart. So it's keeping track of the things again that we're seeing, that we're researching, and kind of ties in with advertising subconsciously. Not we're seeing those items every day. That's a good one. Thank you for sharing. Do we have any other questions or comments, Karen?
No, I think that's it for now.
Perfect. So our spending habits. Um, every day we are faced with hundreds of choices, and it is impossible to consciously think about all of them. That is why we tend to adopt spending habits. For example, you are faced with a choice of buying your morning coffee at the gourmet coffee house or getting the free but less tasty coffee at work. You decide to go with the gourmet coffee, and after a while, you don't even give it a second thought because it's part of your routine. The same goes for buying lunch out or even sticking with the brands that we buy, even if a comparable item is less expensive. So, again, just kind of speaking out of habit here or out of experience, um, Dunkin' Donuts was my gourmet coffee house. Every day on my way to work, I would stop by Dunkin' Donuts and I would get that butter pecan iced coffee. And one day I just happened to look at my spending habits and I realized I was probably spending about $40 a week on coffee and pastries, which it's a lot, especially, when you have a family and you do have to budget. So that definitely is one way to get us. Um, Stopping for that morning, egg McMuffin 3 or 4 days a week when you could probably just, grab a quick bite at home or grab some oatmeal bring it to work and keep it in your snack drawer, right? Um, does anybody have maybe a habit that they've realized now, even just while we're talking, that you do, um, not really realizing that you do it, but it does contribute to your spending habits? stopping at the convenience store to get your morning, Diet Coke or your chips for the day, your little snack.
Someone says in the chat, grocery delivery.
Grocery delivery, yeah. I definitely see that as a spending habit, but I can also see that as a savings as well, right? Maybe they have free delivery, or it's
Yeah, they even
less.
say that if I want it bad enough, I can do the work to drive to the grocery store. And one person says, going out to eat during my lunch hour.
Yeah, those are both. That's good. That is something that I think we all tend to do, or most of us tend to do, and we don't even think twice about it. It's lunch. Your coworkers are going to lunch, and you hop along and go with them, and the next thing you know, you're spending $12, $15 on your lunch when you have a salad in the fridge. And circling back to the grocery delivery, that is a good point, because if you do want it bad enough and you didn't get it, do I really want to leave the house after I had this delivered to go get my, additional items? So that's a good habit. And again, I think that could also be a money saving spending habit. But yeah, that going out to lunch every day, it adds up. You spend 10 or $15 every day, going out. What is, that can definitely add up, especially if you're stopping in the morning to get that morning coffee or that morning juice or soda at the convenience store. So it's good that we're recognizing these. Spending habits are easy to get into, but they're not always beneficial. Your financial situation can change, and then suddenly that $3 or $5 cup of coffee may no longer be within your means. Or perhaps it really never was in the first place. By periodically examining your finances, you can break out of habits you can't afford. Make an effort to keep track of your daily spending, and when the end of the month comes, total it all up. If you see that you are spending more than you're earning and you're not able to put anything aside in savings or relying on credit to pay for expenses, we need to evaluate how we can cut or reduce costs. Be honest about what is truly needed and what can be eliminated. And that kind of ties into, when we were talking to one of our friends at the beginning of the webinar. We set lists and we set budgets, and sometimes we go over that. It goes back to, is it a want or is it a need sometimes, right? Any other questions or comments, Karen?
We have another one that just
Perfect.
came in. They said going to Sam's Club or Costco is something I do regularly and I tend to overspend.
Yes, yes. Those big box, I guess, warehouse type stores, they get you, right? So sometimes you have to, again, is it a want or is it a need? Yes, we know we are going to need those certain staples, but do we need them at this time? It's a good bargain maybe for all of these granola bars or for these trail mixes, but do I need them at this time? Do I need such a large quantity, or is it something I can kind of scale back on? Um, Honestly, I myself, that's one of the reasons I canceled my Sam's Club membership, was because I was overspending. I kind of got starry-eyed by all the bargains I thought I was getting. And honestly, some of the items I ended up, not using or having to throw away because they went expired or whatever, because they didn't get used. So again, I think it's trying to determine what you absolutely need from those warehouse type wholesaler stores, and seeing where you can scale back and maybe just purchase maybe smaller quantities at different stores. And then also, in my experience, I always look at the price per unit or pound, depending on what the item is, to see if it's really the better bargain. That's a good example. Thank you. Any others, Karen?
No, I think that's it, Casey.
Perfect. So we just want to remember that wants can mimic needs. For example, we need to eat, right? Everybody needs to eat, but we don't always need to eat out every lunch break or at restaurants regularly. So again, we want to examine purchases for real need or perceived need and adjust accordingly. Impulse buying. I think everybody here, without us all being able to see one another, we can all raise our hands to this one. How many of us have made an impulse purchase in the past? And what did we purchase? And then how did we feel about it later? Um, we know that impulse buying isn't good for our wallet, but sometimes it's just hard to resist. Finding something you like unexpectedly and buying it is so exciting, and stores encourage us to do so. Do you ever notice that when you go to the supermarket and you are checking out the end caps or right in between the checkout lanes, there's always impulse items such as candy, gum, magazines, sometimes chips. You notice that our staples, right? So our milk, our produce, our maybe our bulk items, our meat products, those are all in the back of the stores. So I would really love to hear if anybody's willing to share an item that they purchased impulsively and how you felt about it afterwards. Sometimes we feel guilty after we buy that impulse item, right? Because that we're so excited to see it, and then that buyer's remorse sometimes will set in. I am a lover of all things cats. I am a cat lady through and through, and I collect ceramic cat plates. Yes, the ceramic cat plates that you put on a fancy little hook and hang on your wall. And I'm embarrassed to say that I have paid more for some of them than I would have liked to, but they're so hard to find. And so when I find them, I get super excited and I purchase them. And then when I look back on it and I realize how much I spend for some of these, I feel sometimes a little sick to my stomach, right? That buyer's remorse kicks in.
Okay, we have one that just came in. They said they're guilty. I bought expensive shoes online, then when they arrived, I was not impressed.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's really hard. That's what's hard about shopping online, right? We don't know how it's going to fit or how it's going to look on us, and we can't always, test it out. And so that's hard. Hopefully they let you return them. I'm hoping they let you return them. But we do. Sometimes we spend that money on ourselves impulsively and we feel incredibly guilty because maybe we could have used that to go in our savings account to go towards a trip that we wanted or, a bill that we needed to pay, right? Anybody else willing to share?
We have a few people that are typing in the chat
Perfect.
box. Um,
Wonderful.
yeah, if you guys want to speak up, you can always raise your hand and then we can unmute you so it's easier.
Or maybe that lip gloss that you've been eyeing for a long time at the Ulta or Sephora, and you try it on at home and it doesn't look nice. And then you feel sad because not only did you spend a substantial amount on this fancy lip gloss, but now it doesn't look good, kind of just like our friend that, bought those shoes. I always say that my worst impulse buying is when I have my daughters with me. I have two teenage daughters, and I have one that is really smart with her money and doesn't like to spend it unless she absolutely has to because she knows how hard it is to earn it. And then I have another that just, Mama, I don't know what it is, but as soon as I have money, I have to spend it. And we trick ourselves when we go shopping together, oh, we had a hard week. We deserve this. We worked hard for this, right? So sometimes when we're shopping not by ourselves, we impulse buy, right? We we get so excited. We're in the moment.
Okay, someone shared if we can save even just a few dollars by not buying an impulse item, is it worth it to save that little bit?
Yes, 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 yes. I am so glad this question was asked because think about it. That few dollars that you saved, that's going to go towards a bigger saving, a bigger pot. So let's say that you have it in a savings account here, or you save it to go towards a trip. It's going towards something. You're building towards something rather than just grabbing that something that you thought you needed at that moment. That you know what. Maybe you didn't like it and you toss it. Maybe it gets stuffed in a drawer somewhere. Maybe, there's a lot of what ifs in that rather than if you just focus on saving those few dollars every here and there, then you get so much satisfaction out of watching that savings grow. That was a really good question. Thank you. Any other questions, Karen?
I see one person typing.
Perfect. So while we're waiting for our friend to share their comment, just something to think about. Research shows that the longer a person stays in the store, the more likely he or she is to make an impulse purchase. There are many things you can do to be a quick, focused shopper. So going back to our friend that we talked to earlier, we want to create a shopping list before we go to the store. Once you're there, avoid browsing, taking free samples, trying on clothes just to see how they look, and talking to salespeople unless it's absolutely necessary, right? Kind of making that list and sticking to that list. Um, Again, I get it. Sometimes, we don't count for certain costs or we forgot to add things to our list and it can make us go a little bit over budget. But I still do have some more tips coming up that we can talk about to stay within budget.
Okay, so he says, I was thinking since I'm retired and sometimes have to have people do a little work for me around the house, I thought I would bring cash home each month to take care of these things.
Yeah, cash is a cash is a good way to track your spending and to set a budget, and that's kind of one of the things that I was going to talk about. So when we are shopping, if you have cash in hand, it's harder for you to go over budget, right? So going back to a couple of our friends that had some questions or comments, or just shared experiences. We're tired. We like to just go out shopping just to get out of the house. Sure, absolutely. If we do want to go spend a little bit of money and just window shop and see if we can find something, maybe set yourself with a set budget, $20 to purchase something, or I want to get a coffee today. I'm going to take $5 out in cash to be able to buy that coffee, or you know going back earlier, if we are shopping and we do have our list and we find that we're still going over budget, if we have a set amount of cash and we don't bring any other form of payment, guess what? We avoid really using that other form of payment. It's so much easier for us to stay within our budget. And it kind of ties into, is it a want or is it a need? Do I need it at this time or do I just think I need it? So having cash can definitely help you refrain from impulse spending for sure.
And he added, I found out that if I don't get a basket at the store, I won't spend as much.
Yes, that is a good I thank you. I do that all the time too, especially when I'm with that younger daughter of mine that we tell ourselves and convince ourselves that we need to try all these new, fancy cookies or candies or, soft drinks, whatever we're getting. If we can't carry it, we don't need it, right? That's a really, really good tip. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any other comments, Karen, or questions?
Someone says, aren't people more apt to purchase if they have touched the item?
think so. In my opinion, yeah, I think that kind of ties into we all kind of like taking those free samples, but maybe, don't try on those items or don't try on or don't take the free samples because, again, if it's something that you find that you like impulsively, right, in the store, then you might be more prompted to buy it when you didn't really necessarily want to or need it in the first place. Good question. Any others?
Someone just shared recently I was in the store. I impulsively bought a barbecue grill.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a big purchase. That's a big purchase. Was it something that, how did you feel afterwards? Is it something that you've used? Do you think it's going to enhance your cooking experience? Is it going to save you time when you're doing your dinners and maybe meal prepping? Did you find it was justifiable? We all like barbecue, mostly, right? Family gatherings.
He says he hasn't used it yet.
Yeah, well, hopefully, as long as you feel good about the purchase and it was something that was definitely within your budget, then, we would love to try your barbecue. So, just some things that we can do to kind of curb that impulse buying. Shop alone if you're able to do so. Don't take your youngest daughter with you when she's trouble, when you two are trouble together. Um, Sometimes the time you spend waiting for a friend is the time that it takes for you to be tempted by an impulse buy. Shopping with your children, again, can lead to impulse purchases for them. And sometimes we do it just to keep them occupied, or we just get tired of them asking over and over. So we just tell them yes, so we can just move on with our lives. But this doesn't only just cost us, but it does also model the way that we spend, and we're kind of teaching them that impulse buying is okay, which can impact how they shop as they grow up, right? So shopping alone for me has definitely helped for sure. Online grocery orders, like our friend talked about earlier, that has saved me a ton because I buy everything online. I can't, it's I know exactly what's on my list. I don't see anything exciting sticking out in the aisle that I'm not going to grab and tell myself I deserve at a later time. So that also, along with shopping, like I said, in my opinion, those sales ads has really helped me. Even if I'm not doing a delivery and I just do curbside pickup, it helps me tremendously stay within my budget and my list. All right. Any questions, comments before we move forward? All right. Bargain hunting. People love buying things on sale, and we love to tell others about it. Getting something at 75% off is an accomplishment and a sign of your bargain hunting abilities. Does anybody enjoy, finding the deal of a lifetime and telling their friends about it for the next 2 days? I love doing that. It's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I love it when somebody gives me a compliment on something and I get to tell them how much I saved or where I bought it and how much it originally was versus how much I paid for it. Is anybody else here guilty of doing the same thing?
Oh, someone says yes in the comment, and one says, I'm already asking my grandkids for their Christmas list. Is it too soon?
No, no. In my opinion, my opinion, I honestly start shopping in September as well. That way, I can find the best deals because, in my opinion, the closer we get to the holidays, sometimes the higher demand is for certain items, and so the cost goes up. So I am just one of those, pre-planners when it comes to birthdays and holidays. So I think that is great. And yes, I'm glad that you admitted it because we have all bargain hunted and we all love to brag about it, right? Here's the thing though. Looking for sales is a great cost saving measure for products that we're already planning to buy. But you're not really saving money if it's something that you impulsively bought just because it's on sale. When you are tempted to buy discounted items, ask yourself if you really need them. And remember to focus on the cost, not just the savings. If you weren't going to buy it anyway, the best bargain is not to buy it. Would you agree or disagree? I'm guilty of this. I'm here with you guys now at this webinar and we're discussing this, but I'm still guilty of it. I have a hard time. I guess this would be my not so good side of spending is, I love to buy things that are on sale, and I sometimes convince myself that I do need this item because it is on sale, right?
Someone shared in the comments, I know Costco and Sam's does not reorder, so Christmas items have to be bought as soon as they come in.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that about either of those. So, um, hmm. I guess in that sense, you'd probably really you would have to bargain hunt then, right? You'd have to shop around to try to find some of those items. Interesting. Any other comments? You can always look at the sales ads. You can always price match is always a good thing when you're shopping, right? A lot of stores do price match because they want to get your business. Just an example of that is Target. If you are a book lover, like my daughters and I are, and you find a book that you like at Target in store, if you look it up online on their Target app, it's usually a few dollars cheaper, and Target will price match their own books. So there's a bargain hunting and tip for you guys if you didn't know already. Any other comments or stories to share, Karen?
No, I think that's it, Casey.
Perfect. Retail therapy. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but a lot of us like to shop when we're depressed to cheer ourselves up, or if we're lonely or we're bored, right? We just want to get out of the house. So research shows that shopping increases levels of chemicals in the brain that regulates happiness. However, the happiness is usually short-lived, right? Because usually buying those products that we didn't really need or spending money that we didn't really have to spend can sometimes result in overspending, which can then cause guilt and stress, right? Again, kind of going back to that impulse shopping and sometimes, that rush of bargain hunting, we spend our day out doing all of this and then we come home and we look at our items and we then look at our bank account and then stress maybe starts to set in because maybe you haven't paid your utilities this month yet or your credit card bills or your car payment. And then you kind of start to panic because then, you're now depressed again or you're upset again because the happiness was kind of short-lived, right? Anybody guilty of that? I feel like I've certainly been guilty of this. Not necessarily, not skipping out on one of my important bills, but again, pulling money out of savings because I was upset or, maybe my daughters were upset and let's go shopping and have a good day out, right? But then I think about the kind of example I'm setting for them and it's not necessarily the best. Anybody willing to share or experience this themselves or a loved one that does this? So then what can we do in lieu of using, retail therapy to help us feel better? We can resist the urge to shop when we're feeling depressed, right? Um, Instead, you can engage in mood boosting activities that are free. maybe exercising, going for a walk, riding your bike, walking your dog, going swimming, um, spending time with a friend or a family member, maybe just watching some movies that you wanted to watch or, reading some books that you've been wanting to read. If you feel like you cannot control your shopping and it's having a negative impact on your life, you may want to seek help. Any questions, comments on this one?
Nothing in the chat right now.
Perfect. If anything, sparks a little interest or comment, please feel free to put it in the chat box. How about money is love? Mistakenly thinking spending is love, right? We often try to show our love by spending money. We want to, buy our kids those Stanley cups that they want to fit in, or, take our loved ones out to expensive dinners to celebrate Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, anniversaries. Has anybody ever bought a gift for somebody to make amends for something that maybe you feel guilty about? Sorry I couldn't make your baby shower, but let me take you out to an expensive lunch, right? Or how many of you have worried that if you didn't buy somebody that you love an expensive gift, they'd be upset with you or disappointed? Or if a family or friend member has maybe asked to borrow money from you and you were too afraid to turn them down because you didn't want to upset them, right? We kind of sometimes always want to be the hero or, you know, the one to save the day. Especially when we have kids, it's sometimes really hard to turn down, our loved ones for things.
Someone says, guilty, gift giving, and I can give in other ways.
Right. Yes. Right. That's true. Especially around the holidays. Sometimes I recently saw, I guess not recently, last holiday season, there was a lot of, reels, Instagram reels or TikTok reels where, a lot of parents were saying, let's normalize making Christmas just about the experience for our kids rather than, buying them or saying Santa is bringing them iPhones and iPads and MacBooks and Oculuses, these really elaborate gifts. And let's make it, again, more about experience. And I really related to that because that's really not the message that I want to send to my daughters. I want them to know, there's more meaning behind your birthday gift or, a graduation gift. It's there's so many other ways that we can show our love for someone rather than buying them something. Like our friend just said, spending time with them, making them a handmade gift, or not even a handmade gift, but a less expensive gift that you found just to be the perfect item for them, right? Um, Anybody else experience this or kind of feel the same way that sometimes there's so much more meaning in something that you put so much more thought into, or just I would rather just spend my time with you and make these memories rather than a gift that maybe I'm going to love for a little bit and it's going to end up in the back of a closet or a drawer somewhere.
Someone shares that I loan money and I know I won't get it back.
And that's hard. That's really, really hard. And I'm sorry that happens. And I'm actually really glad that you brought this up because, that kind of ties into, you know, how is the people that we're helping, because we really think that we're helping them because we we sometimes don't want to see the ones that we love suffer or go without, and so sometimes we've gone without ourselves to try to ensure that that doesn't happen to them. But in the end, what are we really helping them, or are we hindering them? Because why is it why should they learn to budget or handle their money a little bit better if they're always going to have us to bail them out, right? So I think we have to sometimes get better at saying no. And again, as a parent, especially just personally speaking, it's hard to tell my daughters no. Well, one of them's not old enough quite to work yet, so she's not really on her own just yet. But it can be hard to say no, right? Or it can be hard to not buy them the brand new iPhone that they maybe want that their friends all have because it's just not in my budget to do so. So it sometimes hurts me more to say no than it hurts them, right? But we need to also keep in mind that it's more so just about again the gesture rather than the gift. So if we do want to buy them a gift for a holiday, we want to keep in mind that most people would prefer a thoughtful gift to an expensive one. And once again, there's a lot of different ways that we can do something nice for someone rather than spending a lot of money. Hey, it's our anniversary. Let's go to a fancy restaurant. Well, I can also just make us dinner and we can just stay in. We don't have to necessarily people tonight. So that's a good example too. Um, does anybody else want to share maybe some thoughtful ideas or suggestions instead of spending money or even loaning money? I can't loan you any money, but I can certainly teach you how to budget, or I can certainly teach you how to grocery shop on a budget, or maybe I can't loan you money this month, but I can help you. Um, I can make you some dinners, you know. I would love to hear any suggestions that we can all share. Or if anybody has a suggestion on how, our how maybe you used to loan money and you knew you weren't going to get it back and how you kind of curbed that that habit for the loved one that you would loan it to. Any comments, Karen, coming through?
Nothing at this time.
Well, if anybody thinks of something, please share because we're all kind of here to learn off of one another as well. So again, guys, it's really just all about making those experiences and we want to teach these good habits to people, and again, why would anybody else want to learn how to save or budget if we're the ones always bailing them out? So sometimes it's okay to say no, and sometimes it's okay to not get the fancy, Stanleys or iPhones, and you just make do with what you have. So, spending versus savings, right? So, we often put immediate desires first. People tend to focus more on today rather than tomorrow. And in many cases, that can be sensible. Filling an empty refrigerator is more pressing than sometimes saving for a vacation that you want to go on 5 years from now. However, we often put immediate desires ahead of future important needs. So let's just say that you have $100 in your pocket and you can either spend that $100 on a fancy meal or put it into your savings. So if you spend it on that meal, you get to enjoy it today and you get to have that fancy meal. But if you put it in your savings, you have to wait. Which one's going to be naturally more appealing, right? Going back to our friend earlier that said if it's just that few dollars, is it even worth savings? Well, you could spend that few dollars and you could get that impulse item or that meal and have a good time today. But if you put that $100 or those few dollars in your savings, once again, you get the satisfaction of watching that savings grow. Okay. So, and when your savings is growing, sooner you're going to blink an eye and all of a sudden you can be approaching retirement age, right? So if we put off this savings and we say, oh, this is only a few bucks, I can just spend it and I don't need to save it today and I can start saving tomorrow. Sometimes tomorrow comes tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's kind of like I tell myself, well, it's the weekend. I'm not going to, watch my calories or worry about what I'm eating this weekend. I'll start tomorrow, right? And then the next thing you know, it's Wednesday again and you tell yourself you're going to do the same thing over the weekend. So, um So sometimes, by not investing those few dollars or that $100 into your savings and you use it for the meal, in the end, we don't have enough savings to meet the goals that we had originally set for ourselves. So we always want to put real effort into, making savings and putting it in the forefront now. Put a picture of your goal on your refrigerator or in your wallet. Take pleasure in opening up your account statements at the end of each month and watching your savings grow. If your workplace offers a direct deposit, which most employers do, have a little bit of your monthly income go into a savings account, direct deposited right into a savings account. Or have your financial institution automatically transfer funds from checking to savings. Uh, we here at the credit union, we can set up, we can walk you through how to set up automatic recurring transactions or transfers for savings on your online banking. You're welcome to come in or give us a call, and we can set up an automatic transfer monthly, biweekly, weekly, however your income comes in, to set up an automatic transfer to come from your checking to your savings or your money market account or whatever type of savings product you currently have or are interested in. We can help you. We have steps we can take to help you achieve those goals. Just remember, the sooner you start saving, the more money that you will have in the future, right? So again, just some of the savings products that we have to help you, get to those financial goals and dreams are, we offer club savings accounts, both Christmas and vacation. These are fun accounts to have. Let's say, our friend that's already asked her grandkids for their Christmas list. Our Christmas account, club account, lets you save all year. And then on November 1st, everything you have in that Christmas club account will automatically be transferred into the account of your choice. And guess what? You have your Christmas money ready to go, so you can get your shopping done if you want to wait a little bit later on in the year to shop. Or let's say you're saving up to go on a cruise or your Disney trip or your California adventure trip, and every time you get paid, you can go ahead and just sock away some money into that vacation club. And on, I believe it's May 15th, right before the summer season happens, we'll automatically transfer those funds into the account of your choice, and you've got your vacation club. We offer money market savings, which are tiered savings accounts. So the more money you put into that savings account, the more interest you're going to earn monthly. We offer certificates of deposits ranging from 3 months all the way up to 60 months. And we have some of the highest interest rates in the Valley on our certificates. And then we also offer, if you're looking at your retirement, we also offer individual retirement accounts, to help you save for the future. Also, if your employer offers a 401k, I highly encourage that you start investing into your 401k as soon as you are able to, because it can grow very quickly. Any questions or comments on savings that we can answer for you?
I see a person typing
Sure.
in the chat.
We also have wealth management. We have a wealth management representative at our Tenea branch that is always available, and would love to help anybody, help your money grow.
Okay, they said no questions, but what you have said is very informative. And another one says making saving just as fun as spending is my goal.
I love that. That is a phenomenal goal, and I'm so glad that I was able to give you some insight on, just different ways to save and different products that we have. Because for me personally, every time I open up my savings statement or my 401k statement, it gives me so much hope. Trust me, time flies by really, really fast, and before you know it, your kids are getting ready to go to college, or you are getting to your retirement years, and it is so comforting and so just joyful knowing that you have those savings there. So I am so happy. I really, I hope you achieve that goal. Absolutely. Anything else, Karen, right now?
None.
I'm sorry?
No more. That's it
Oh,
for
sorry.
now.
Thank you. So, um, we're almost wrapping up here, but I do want to talk about the role of credit. Credit sometimes can get us into trouble, especially if you're not careful with it, right? So the availability of credit can make it very, very easy to overspend. In fact, research shows that people spend more when they use credit instead of cash or a debit card. Um, One of the ways that I think some of us tend to use credit is rewards, right? Oh, let me just put it on my credit card because I'm going to earn flyer miles, or I get to earn cash back. I get to earn points. So sometimes we use our credit cards more than we should. Or, you know what? I'm going to just put this on credit because I don't want to dip into my savings. Does anybody here feel that we're kind of a little bit of a victim of this, or a little guilty of doing this? We tend to overuse our credit rather than using the cash or savings that we have at hand to make purchases. Who doesn't like getting cash back, right? Or those frequent flyer miles, or even with our own credit cards, right? We earn points. We have pretty good point system depending on the credit card product you have, right? Point for dollar on some of them, 4 points per dollar on some of our rewards. Kind of hard to resist sometimes. Or it kind of ties into our impulse buying or bargain hunting, right? I didn't really want to use my credit card, but I can't pass this up. I need that cat plate to go on my wall with all of my other fancy cat plates. We're all kind of guilty of this, I think. Any comments, Karen? Questions?
No questions at this time, Casey.
So the nice thing about credit, right, is it allows you to get something today without having to pay for it right away. But if you cannot pay the balance in full when the bill comes, you then have to pay interest, right? And plus, again, we never know when our financial situations are going to change. And so if we cannot pay that off in full when the statement cycles, then we have to deal with making those payments until we can pay off the balance. And so again, we're chipping away at it, but again, interest is going to come due. So it can be more costly in the long run. So what can we do to avoid using credit unless we absolutely have to, or unless it's in a dire emergency, is use cash, right? We kind of talked about this. To help us stay on track and with our budget, we can use cash, right? Um, or we can use a debit card for most purchases. I'm not sure if any of our friends here are aware, but our debit cards, you can earn points and rewards on our debit cards just like you can on credit cards. Okay, so for every $4 you spend, you earn 1 point, and you can redeem those back in gift cards or items. So in case you didn't know that, there's lots of information about this on our website, and we're going to have some links that we're going to be dropping in to the chat box as well of resources that you guys can utilize later on. Using cash, using that debit card can help you be a thrifty shopper. You don't necessarily need to use credit, right? So using credit cards can help you build a good credit score, which will definitely come in handy as you are trying to build that credit profile, purchase a home, purchase a car. And if you do have to use credit and you are trying to build your credit, just buy a small item every month. Maybe your Spotify subscription, your Netflix subscription, your Disney Plus. Put it on your credit card and then pay that bad boy off every month at the end of the month when that statement is due, right? Anybody have any other tips or suggestions that you would like to share with our friends here on how to really, if you do have credit, how you use it to help build your credit?
Someone says that that's smart.
Yeah. I mean, we have our Apple Music or our Spotify, right? our Peacock. Maybe use it to do your gas every week or 2 weeks, right? Your phone bill, maybe something small. Really just kind of keep that credit card, you know, in the event of an emergency. Right. So, you know, ultimately, we really just want to encourage to be a conscious consumer, right? So, you know, just put some thought and effort before you purchase items and before you open your wallet, you know, to get out that debit card or that credit card, just ask yourself these questions. Will I really use this product or service? What are my motives for making this purchase? Am I doing this because I'm bored, because I'm sad, because it's a bargain of a lifetime, right? Do I own anything else that serves the same purpose as this product? Did I need this item before I saw it in the store, or was it something I just saw instantly and had to have? Right, me and my ceramic cat plates. What are the financial and emotional costs of this purchase, and can I really afford it? And when I say can I really afford it, can I afford it emotionally? Am I going to feel guilty about this? Is it going to cause an argument maybe, you know, in my home for purchasing this? And can I afford it, you know, literally? Is it something I can swing today? Do I need this right now? Can I get this product or service somewhere else for less money, right? So by thinking about our spending and what I really need or what you really need, and can get you know, without suffering from those post shopping blues, that's the ultimate goal here, right? Does anybody have any questions or stories or comments that they would like to share or ask at this time?
Nothing in the
Anything?
chat, Casey.
Perfect. So, you know, I really just want to thank everybody for joining us today. I do want to remind you that, you know, you will be receiving, you know, within the next 24, 48 hours, you know, an email from us with that toolkit packet I was talking to you guys about. I also want to remind you that we do have additional resources on our website. We have a resource called Bonsai, which is a fun tool under the About Us section on our main ccculv.org website, where if you're interested in purchasing a house or even purchasing a car, you know, what kind of down payment am I looking for? What am I looking for? This is the budget I have for my monthly payment. So there's lots of cool tools and you know, games. If you have grandkids or kids, nieces, nephews, you know, youngins in your life that you want to give them and teach them good spending habits, there's a junior bonsai, so we can teach our kids, you know, how to handle their finances. We also have a podcast available on all podcast streaming platforms called The Perfect Bite, where we kind of talk about different saving tools and financial tools. So I encourage you guys all to listen to those. Once again, our contact center, our member service department, we are always open and ready from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday to answer any questions, concerns, help you guys out with any of those additional saving products, as well as we are always so happy to see our members come into our local branches. So we are super happy and ready to assist you in any way possible to help you with these savings resources.
We have a feedback. They
Yes,
said, thank you so much. People often don't talk about finances or share best practices. At least that's not a topic of discussion at all. This was very informative. Thank you both. Thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Again, please feel free to reach out. Give us a call at 702-228-2228, option 3, and we will be so happy to answer any questions or concerns that you have in the future. All right, everybody. Thank you again for taking time out on this Thursday evening. We appreciate you guys coming by, and we thank you so much for all of your support and comments and feedback. Oh, sorry, one last thing. This recording will be available on our website within the next 24 to 48 hours as well. And stay tuned for future events to come.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.